seems like Chris Sale jerseys will be going on sale sometime soon, depending on what happens over the next couple weeks. But the situation has gone from, I guess, bad to maybe worse. It's interesting in the sense that Chris Sale, a hefty fine and suspended, not just for cutting up a jersey, which is a violation, but turns out has not really been kind to management and very critical at times. Of course, it all started with the throwback jerseys you're starting to see a lot of these teams wear, in particular the White Sox. And, you know, we just kind of talked about this and discussed this over the commercial break. That's got to mess up your mechanics. What happens in this case now with Chicago and his relationship with Chris Sale?
Well, obviously Chris Sale didn't handle this situation correctly by damaging team property, but what I heard of the story was that when they were announced to wear these throwbacks on his scheduled start, he was not happy because they wore these last year and they were very uncomfortable. So now here you have your ace starter who says, I don't feel like I'm going to perform in this uniform. Why wouldn't they just make a change? And there is a history of players and managers having veto power over a uniform. So I think his manager could have come to his aid here. But I think the fans are going to side with Sale. So if they decide to sell him off now, I think there's going to be a bit of a unhappy fan base in Chicago.
So we cut up a jersey and got a fine. He should just took all the money and just burnt it and just took that fine.
It would have been much more exciting.
It doesn't make sense. Like, and then this is where my problem with baseball having such a long schedule, and they're trying everything possible for marketing reasons. And it's, you know, every night you go to the ball game, it's some kind of night, and I get that. But it's at this point, it's like, how many times we got throwback? And you kind of get tired of the throwback. Because to me, it's not even that big of a deal. Like, I think every team should have a third jersey, and I think you should use it every once in a while and try to replicate it, but don't use the same jerseys they're using back 40, 50, 60 years ago. Like,
well, they're going with yeah, exactly. It's more of a pullover format, which you think with the technology you have nowadays, you think you probably modernize it, make a button down. It doesn't matter if it's not replicating, as long as it has the look and image. And of course, your players are the ones who are playing in it. It's not necessarily the fans. That's got to matter.
Football should adopt like the leather helmets and just go total throwback to those days. Like, who would not want to watch that?
Well, that certainly definitely would be interesting to see how that goes, considering they have their concussion issues.
It's marketing, Moses. It doesn't matter about the players. It's all about marketing.
Clearly, that's what's happening in the Chicago White Sox case. Sticking with baseball, how about the Chicago Cubs, the other team, not playing on the South Side? The Cubbies looking very good this year, looking like a contender, but seem to put themselves over the top. Aroldis Chapman decided to, I wouldn't say by his fruition, but through the Yankees deciding to trade him for a couple prospects in return. I know you're a Yankees fan,
Yep.
Dave. We'll get to you in a second,
Yep.
but I want to throw this out to you, Andrew. Does this Chapman trade make the Cubbies an instant contender in not just the National League, but let's say all of baseball?
No, they already are the contender, being one of the best records in baseball. And you add a reliever like that, yeah, you automatically go up to a bigger spot. Chicago had to do this. To me, you got to load up. And you start to look at the past and the centuries, and now you've got into not winning a World Series. You can't really worry too much about the future. And I know you're going to love the future guys coming to New York.
Yep.
But eventually, I think you do, as a sports guy and as a fan base, you got to let them win. Like, it's okay to abandon the future to stop the bleeding now, because you kind of do. You have to win, because that's what brings fans back. And you can keep promising for greatness in the future. Well, it hasn't really worked out for the Cubs in the last 100 years or so. So, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with them making a trade like this.
Take what you got right now.
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah, this is a win-win trade. I mean, the Yankees got a good package back with Chicago's number 1, number 5 prospect, a pitcher that can help their middle relief right now. And the Cubs got what they needed. The bullpen was a weakness of theirs. I think they sit 7th in American League ERA in their bullpen. And Chapman over the last 4 years has converted 94% of his saves opportunities, whereas I think the current Cubs team is converting 66%. So their back end of their bullpen's got a lot better. Hector Rondon is a right-hander. Now they got a righty and a lefty. So they can mix and match a bit if they want, but I think they're going to hand that 9th inning over to Chapman. And they already have a great starting rotation. Now they've just shortened the game for that starting rotation. Got to give them 7 innings, and then it's lights out.
All right, guys, let's go on to another topic now and talk about Ray Rice. He's back in the news, this time for much different reasons than before. Out of the league for almost 2 seasons now. It seems Ray Rice has been, in his words, rehabilitated. And a lot of people's minds has kind of moved on. And it seems for the better. Even in his case, he knows his time is short. He's reaching the mid-30s or approaching that. He still wants to play football. And he actually said that he was going to donate his entire 2016 salary if he had a chance to play and donate that money into domestic abuse causes. Do you think a guy like this is rehabilitated, and knowing the CFL, but the NFL's rap sheet of idiots in the league, do you think it's nice and warranted to have this guy back in the NFL?
Well, I think he hasn't been away from the game. He's actually been doing a lot of work with the Ravens
behind the scenes,
organization.
but what I mean is on the
mentoring
field.
young players. I mean, you either give guys chances or you don't. Adrian Peterson is given another chance. I mean, it was a different type of domestic abuse, but I mean, his was very controversial, and he's again playing. So, if you switch to baseball, you've got Jose Reyes, Aroldis Chapman, who we just talked about. These guys are given a second chance. So, I mean, no matter what, if he can help a team win, teams are going to take a chance on him, and they're going to come under a lot of scrutiny from fans, but. Wins make people forget that, and a fan base will quickly forget, what has happened in someone's past if he's carrying the ball for 100 yards a game for a team.
I'll say this: Greg Hardy, complete ass. Deserve what he get. He's out of the league. I don't think he seems like the guy who's truly remorseful. However, I think the complete opposite way of Ray Rice. Mm-hmm. You see it. You see the guilt, the shame that what he did. He's admitted what he did. And we've given guys like Michael Vick an opportunity. Do you think it's fair to give a guy like Rice a second chance?
Well, if you're going to give some guys a chance, you got to give others. You can't just where do you draw the line? And then when you draw that line, you have to keep that line up. Yeah. You can't just say, okay, we're not going to give Ray Rice a chance, and the next guy comes along and acts dumb. We're going to let him have a pass. If you do that, now this is where the chaos of the NFL is. Where do you make your stand? Ray Rice's thing was, let's be honest, that video was horrible. Yeah. That's even an understatement. I can't say the words I would probably use to describe it. And to now, I don't know if someone put him back in the league. If I'm a coach, if he helps me win, then probably, that's the way sports is. We forgive and forget pretty quickly because wins matter. But this is a running back position. I don't think he's that capable anymore after being away for 2 years. Maybe in a B role, not an A role.
I think the big difference with the Ray Rice case was the fact that the video became public. Had America's or North America seen a video of Adrian Peterson hitting his kid with a switch, I don't know if his case would have been as easily forgotten. But because that was such a public thing, the other aspect is the NFL handled that so poorly. Roger Goodell has received a lot of criticism for the fact that people believe he had the video, made his ruling, he was suspended 2 games, and then when the video went viral, he said, we've just obtained this video, now we're going to stiffen the penalty. So there's also the league involvement in this. I don't know how much direction teams are getting from Goodell on whether to allow Ray Rice to play or not.
Goodell, you beat somebody up, you get 2 games. You deflate a football, you get 4 games.
Exactly.
That's his rule of logic. How about this? We're going to move on to a guy who's had multiple chances and clearly seems to not get it. Most recently, this past Friday, you had Evander Kane charged with 4 counts of non-criminal harassment and a misdemeanor for trespassing. When do you say enough is enough, and should the Sabres give up on him?
Now, Kane. Guys named Kane should not be in Buffalo anymore. Like that just does not work. But seriously, for what they're paying him, he's not worth it. No, I went and looked at his stats. Nowhere in his stats is it telling me Evander Kane should be a $5.25 million player. Not a chance. He's not that good. When you actually look at what he brings to a team, he could be, and that's the sad thing, he could be an elite level player. He could be on that level of some of the top guys and being a top goal scorer. But he's not, because he keeps getting himself in trouble. He keeps getting injured. He's not worth it to a team, especially the Sabres who are trying to rebuild. I'd ship him out.
Last word?
Yeah, I think you keep him. I think he's young enough. I know that he's made some mistakes, but these guys are high-profile guys. He was celebrity bartending at some event in Buffalo. Some women accused him of unwanted physical contact. Then he was, removed by the bouncers or what have you. If you get rid of him now, his value is diminished, so you're going to get a diminished return for him. There are going to be teams. There's already talk about Vancouver wanting to snap him up. So someone's going to take a chance on him. If you're Buffalo, get some counseling, get some mentoring involved, work with him, but he's an asset to your organization. Don't give him away for a diminished value just because he's made some 24, 25-year-old kid mistakes right now.
All right, when we return, we're going to come back with Over Under next.